Custer County Board of County Commissioners meeting will come to order. Let the record show that today is July 7th and the time is 9:00 a.m. I wonder if I could ask Commissioner Kanda if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk to the board, would you conduct the roll call, please?
Commissioner Flower,
Present.
Commissioner Kanda,
Here.
Commissioner Prince, Attorney Clint Smith,
Present.
and Clerk to the Board Kelly Camper present.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Audience introductions. We will start here in the Commissioner's room. Ms. Kara.
Kara Evans, Admin Assistant to the BOCC.
Thank you. And introductions on the phone. If you are on the phone, I would ask that you introduce yourselves.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Would you introduce yourself? Give us your name, please.
Hello. Hello.
Hold on just a minute. Okay, hold on.
Hello? Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
All
Okay,
right.
let's,
Thank you.
Would you introduce yourselves?
I couldn't hear.
We can't hear the roll call.
Would you introduce yourselves if you're on the...
hello?
I can hear you. This is Dave Colbert.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it. Next.
Say it again.
Thank you, Elaine.
Hello.
Hold on. I got Deb Adams.
Got an echo going.
Wow.
What?
Got a big delay.
Yeah, give us just a minute. Vern, are you on? Yeah, we're having a little technical difficulty, so bear with us. I've got Dave Colbert, Elaine Chavanon, Deb Adams.
This is Bill Shakespeare.
This is not working.
I did not catch your last name, Bill.
I think we better hang up and redial.
Thank you, sir.
It's not going to fly.
Well, he's working on it, so I'm calling him right now. Okay, next guest.
Simon Daleen and Cody Wilkins are here as well.
Daleen and Cody.
Thank you. Wilkins, yes. Next.
Cindy Flower, Public Health.
Thank you. Next.
William and Diana Polkinghorn.
Thank you. Go ahead. Go ahead and introduce yourself if you haven't done so. Are the sons in attendance today?
That's what I
Okay.
thought.
So we're going to disconnect everybody.
Yeah, let's just tell
Is
them.
that what he's saying?
I think it would just disconnect us, and then we'll call back into the meeting.
Okay, folks, if you have called in, we'd ask you to stand by. We're going to reset our phone connection and try that again.
Hey, Tom, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
I think what's happening is that somebody has their, the live stream, which is always delayed a little bit, playing through their phone, and so we're hearing echoes of everybody speaking,
Okay.
and I just heard it again. So if everybody could mute, I'm muting everyone on the live stream.
Line muted.
Let's call,
Okay.
and we'll just have to unmute them when it's time to speak.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you looking into that. Folks, if you've called in and you are on the teleconference and live streaming on your phone, we would ask that you do one or the other, preferably the teleconference. The last people I heard introduce themselves were William and Diana Polkinghorn. Is there anyone else on the call? Thank you, Bill. Got you, yes. Vernon, can you tell me how many people you show on the call?
I'm seeing 9. I guess 8 with the conference call room.
Thank you.
Yeah, somebody's still broadcasting their the YouTube live stream.
Okay.
So if they're not speaking, they need to turn off their telephones or turn off their speakerphone.
Okay. Folks, if you did not hear that, we're asking that you turn off your speakerphone if you're live streaming the meeting today, as well as calling in on the teleconference. Okay, we'll move on. I guess just a quick question to the Wilkins. Do you know if the Sons were planning on calling in today?
We're here on the speakerphone with the Wilkins, Karen and John's son.
Thank you. Anyone else? Very good. Vern, could you mute the teleconference callers, please? Amendments to the agenda, gentlemen.
I have one, sir.
Go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Thank you. I would like to strike the first,
Would you make that in the form of a motion?
I move that we strike the first item under new business, consideration of reimbursement of elected official for personal property lost. That
I'll second it. Moved and seconded to strike the first item of new business, consideration of reimbursement. Discussion. I'm assuming it's no longer relevant, sir.
that is correct.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Okay. Hearing no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of striking the first item of new business, say aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Commissioner Kanda?
Aye.
Commissioner Flower votes aye. Motion carries. We will delete that.
I got a question on an item. It might be an agenda item.
Hold on just a second, sir. Okay. Any other amendments?
Only to ask the question, it might be one.
Okay.
Is that, as you know, we have an OEM position to fill. We need to talk about posting that, and it might be appropriate today.
I guess yeah, it might be. I'm not arguing that one bit. I guess I was guilty of thinking we would deal with that tomorrow during the OEM report.
And that's
but
okay too, if, but it's is that a 24-hour notice, or is it part of business then or now?
Well, if you want to talk about it, we can do that anytime. If there was
Right.
an action item, then we probably need to try to get it on the agenda.
Just a question. So.
Yeah, no, it's a great question.
If I may, sir.
Yes, go
I
ahead.
think Bill's point's well taken. I think we're going to need to post that job description and probably take a motion to do that. So I'd request that we add that to the agenda for tomorrow.
Okay. Think we can still do that, Ms. Kelly, and we should be okay. Put it under new business.
Have to
We
do
won't
it.
get to that till probably 10:30 or 11. I know you'll have to repost that, but would you like Kara to deal with that since you're clerking, or no? To add that and repost it?
Could add it and get it posted now, and we'd be okay.
So I'd say, gentlemen, language for that item of business, consideration of posting job vacancy
For
for
the OEM
OEM.
director.
Correct.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill. Good point. Let me get on the right. So I would move that we strike the third item of business, consideration of the High Altitude Garden Club proposal by their request. That has been rescheduled for tomorrow, and it is currently on the agenda.
Okay, I'll second it.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to strike the third item on the agenda under new business, consideration of the High Altitude Garden Club proposal. Discussion.
Shoot, we can keep going. We'll all
That's
adjourn
right.
and come back tomorrow.
Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of striking the third agenda item under new business, say aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Kanda?
Aye.
Commissioner Flower votes aye. Motion carries. That item has been struck as well. Just a second here. Any further amendments to the agenda?
I have none, sir.
Commissioner Kanda?
None here.
Nor do I. We'll move on. Approval of minutes. We do not have any minutes to approve today. Commissioner items. Commissioner Kanda, would you like to begin?
Been very long since we met. We did have a good meeting on the tower project on the 1st of July. No real big issues. There are people that are concerned that surround the proposed sites. I've been getting a lot of calls on that, as you all have. And there's plenty of time for hearings on that down the road, so just not to alarm anybody yet. And that's about it. Today, I've been getting a lot of calls, so we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you. You want to look at that? Commissioner Prince?
Thank you, sir. I attended on the 30th the Office of Emergency Management meeting. I also attended the Tower Project meeting. Let's see. I witnessed the protest march on July 4th. I was dismayed to find that social distancing was non-existent, and of the many, many, many people who attended, I saw one person with a mask. I found that somewhat disheartening, and that's all I did since last meeting.
Okay, I'll go through my calendar real quick. It's fairly brief. So on July 1st, I attended the Custer County Site Selection Consultants Zoom meeting pertaining to the towers for broadband. That was the only formal meeting that I attended, so.
How did the Saddle Club, the water project, we're not going to talk about today, is it okay?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I can address that, absolutely. The water project, 4th and Main, down to the county shop property and up to the fairgrounds and terminating at the Saddle Club. is installed and is functional. Everybody has water. We're currently waiting on 2 meters from the supplier. We were told those would be in on last Wednesday. Now we've been told it'll be probably 2 to 3 weeks.
So come and get your showers now
Yeah.
if you need it.
The entire
Free.
water line is metered currently just through the Custer County meter at 4th and Main. So it is metered, but the Saddle Club is buying their own meter, and the fire department is buying their own meter. So we're waiting on that. So the trench has not been completely backfilled. I understand from those folks that they're going to leave that pit open in 2 locations to install that meter, or install those meters when they get it. So we're in the process of invoicing the entities for that. So it went well. It was 5 days altogether, plus now they're a day or so cleaning up and final grading and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it looked pretty good what I saw.
I think everybody was pleased with how that went, so I'm glad to report that everybody has water, and we should not hear about this water line issues for a long time. So
Amen.
thanks for bringing that up, Commissioner Cannon. Appreciate it. Yeah, I guess I just wanted to ask. I know, Commissioner Cannon, you were in the parade on the 4th. I have yet to clearly understand what the purpose of that protest parade was. Can you shed some light either?
I'll tell you why I was there. It's the United States of America's birthday, and I haven't missed a parade that I've ever been in the valley since I was 8 years old. And so Joanne and I both are there, 6 feet and more above everybody else and away from everybody as we rode. So it was a pleasure to be there and to exercise my first, second, fourth, all the rights that we have. And as I mentioned before, those are rights that we can burden, but we can't take them away.
And I appreciate what you're saying. I'm not expecting you to answer this, but if you can, I would like to. What was the purpose of the protest?
Well,
I just don't.
from what I understand, when they withdrew their request after going through the request to do the parade, in order to also have the ability to have the sheriff's department support it, they called it a protest. And as a protest, I guess that obligates anybody to go make sure everything's orderly. So that's all I know about that. From my point of view, it was not a protest. It was a celebration.
Yeah, I mean,
Nobody protested anything.
I thought, so I guess I say it, I thought it was almost un-American to have a protest on the 4th of July when we should be celebrating our independence.
That's right.
I just thought it was weird that if it's a matter of semantics, I guess, whatever. But anyway, I just was curious what everybody was protesting. That was my question. And then we've also received, and I'll pull it up. Can I have that document back?
Mm-hmm. Looks
What
good.
we refer to as the COPS grant. I'm sorry, got my grants mixed up. The School Resource Officer, IGA. I keep calling it a grant. It's not. I apologize for that. It's Sheriff Byerly had asked us to review and sign or approve the School Resource Officer IGA between us and the school district. He had sent us a copy of that on July 1. They made a few minor changes. They had the former undersheriff's name on the letterhead, so they changed that. I'm not sure there were any other substantial changes made into it. So I checked with council this morning. He felt like because this is kind of an annual thing that we would be okay considering this under commissioner items and not having to put it under an agenda item. So with that, I would move that we approve and sign the IGA between Custer County School District and the Custer County Sheriff's Office for the School Resource Officer.
I'll second it.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the IGA for the School Resource Officer. Discussion.
I looked good, and we saw it before. He needs it. Good thing to do.
Is there a place for you to sign it? I don't see on the one I've got.
There was.
I thought there was
There
only
was.
one.
Okay, this one.
I think there was. I saw the back of it. Or is that a certified?
No, there's
a
not.
notary? Just a notary?
No, it's between, I guess we don't have to sign it, just approve it. It's between Shannon Byerly and Michael McFalls.
That makes sense.
So I would guess, Kara, I would ask if you'd shoot him an email real quick and ask him if he was expecting us to sign it. So I guess it would just be approval. I would restate my motion to say that I would move that we approve the IGA.
I'll second the suggested amendment.
Second? Is that
Yeah, second it. I'm just trying to decide here if
So my question would
if
be
it
to
was an
shoot,
omission of
if-
the signature line and we vote to approve it, then can I sign it? Should we wait?
well, it's more than that, I think. If we're making a motion to sign it and we second and then vote on it, then it probably should have been on the agenda. If it's just a routine matter, I think by consensus, we ought to just say, we're ready to go.
Okay. You know, for clarification, I'll withdraw my motion.
And I'll second the withdrawal.
John? If we get some clarification from Shannon, but in the meantime, then I would ask by consensus, gentlemen, I'm not super comfortable with this, but are you okay with us approving the IGA as presented?
I'm fine with it if we need to add council signature to it. That's not significant. I mean, of course, he's significant, but it's not going to change the essence of the agreement. So if we need to fine tune it without changing the essence of it, I think we, by consensus, ought to go ahead and approve it. Figure out what the right signature lines are. Let's get that done.
Okay, how about by consensus, would you agree to approve this and authorize me to sign it if needed?
Yes, that's the way it ought to be.
Yes, I agree with that.
All right. So by consensus, then, we will approve the IGA. And actually, I misspoke again. It's not between Custer County, it's between the county sheriff's office
And the school. Right. Can I just make one quick comment?
Go ahead,
Just
sir.
in light of what's going on around the nation of defunding police officers, and I'm real concerned that the country may turn into more lawlessness than is currently out there. I commend the sheriff's department and the school for pursuing this. So I think this is wonderful.
Yeah, I agree. That's appropriate. It's great.
Okay, good. Let me just make a quick change here. Yeah, we're in the middle of dealing with the COPS grant, trying to get into the portal of the state, and we're having issues with that, and I just typed in the COPS grant when it should have been the SRO IGA, so my apologies, but I'll correct it so that I have the accurate description. And I guess that's all the commissioner items I had to bring forth at this time. Anything else, gentlemen, before we move on?
I'm kind of compelled to say this, Mr. Chairman, but many people have seen a photograph with the Confederate flag and one of the members of our sheriff's office posing for pictures. I was very dismayed when I saw that. But I also agree that a person has a First Amendment right, and that's freedom of speech, just like Kaepernick kneeling down during the playing of the national anthem. I think it's wrong. However, I think you have a right to do it. So I just want to comment on that because I didn't feel it was appropriate for one of our sheriff members in uniform to be doing that, but so be it.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, gentlemen?
Not from me.
Okay, we'll move on. Next item, Upper Arkansas Waters Conservancy District Report. I would just report to the group that the next meeting is scheduled for this Thursday, July 9th at 1 o'clock. I will be in attendance via Zoom.
Are they not holding any in-person meetings?
They're
right
holding live meetings with the directors and asking everyone else
Stay
to
away.
Zoom. That's all I have. Anything else?
No, not from me.
We'll move on. Attorney items.
After our executive session last week at the direction of the board, I did communicate with the attorney representing the applicants for the special use permit. That's the issue on the agenda later this morning. Communicated with him what your decision was as far as going forward with the recommendation as it was originally submitted by the Planning Commission. I had a telephone conference with the chairman of the Planning Commission on a totally different manner. He had a question about an application that's now pending, and we discussed that. I gave him some legal advice on that. Other than that, I took a few days and rode my motorcycle down into Texas because it wasn't hot enough here. It was 109 down there. And but I can report that I think now most of the population of Texas is in Colorado because there was a constant convoy of RVs and trailers on the way up here, long lines at gas stations and everything else, all heading toward Colorado. So that's my report.
Any movement on the, I guess was the Attorney General that we're going to have some training on the pending legislation?
I did participate or watched a Zoom meeting last week. It was put on by the Colorado District Attorney's Council, and the emphasis was on interpretation for law enforcement purposes. And it's, I mean, the conclusion was that almost everything that's in the Senate Bill 20-217 is going to have to be handled on a case-by-case basis because nobody really is sure exactly what that statute says or how it's going to be interpreted or enforced. So I did watch that, but I haven't had anything else since then.
Thanks for clarifying that. I said the AG. Obviously, it was the District Attorneys Association.
Right.
Okay, we'll move on. Let me see what's next on the agenda here. Oh, yeah, that would be Administrative Assistant.
Come on, say something.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move into public comment. If anybody on the phone has public comment for the commissioners to hear, now would be the appropriate time to do that. If you have comment about anything that is on the agenda, I would request that you hold those comments until we get to the agenda item. But if there's anything not listed on the agenda, you're welcome to exercise your public comment time.
Yes, my name is Bill Switmeyer. When you're ready, I'd like to comment.
Yeah, Bill, if your comments are pertaining to anything on the agenda, I would request that you wait until we get to that agenda item.
They are not.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. First item is unfortunately, and I understand the circumstances that lead us to this, but the quality of this communication is abysmal. It is so unintelligible as to render it almost useless. And we're covering some significant things that people have very strong opinions on. And I would like to suggest that no voting take place on any issue where people are in conflict until a method can be created where the communication is acceptable. This is not acceptable.
Okay, thank you.
That's number one, and if you want to comment on that, I'll wait, but I do have a second item.
Okay, can you hear the three commissioners when they speak?
I can hear you better than the others, but not well enough.
Okay. Because we can certainly clearly hear you at this time. We were having trouble during. That's okay. No, I appreciate knowing that. We will make every attempt to speak right into the microphones, and hopefully that will help. My microphone keeps cutting in and out, so believe me, we are very frustrated about that as well.
This is Kanda. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
I hear you.
Okay, you had another.
I can hear you just fine.
Hold on a minute. Ma'am,
Necessary, you can come across, you can repeat.
Ma'am.
Doesn't hear you, but I think we may be in this situation for a while.
Ma'am,
We can't let business stop.
ma'am. Hold on, folks. I will not tolerate this conversation. Now, if you cannot abide by protocol, I will ask for your phones to be muted. I don't know who was speaking. You were speaking totally out of turn. This is not a conversation between callers. This is public comment. Mr. Sedmeyer has the floor and will continue to do so until I recognize another speaker. Is that clear? Go ahead, Mr. Sedmeyer.
Thank you. So I do feel firmly that communication has to be better than this in order to proceed with business.
We understand.
That subject, I'd like to move on to a second subject very quickly,
Please do.
which is I would like to encourage anyone who has not Googled master plan to do so. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, a master plan is an organized set of decisions made by one person or a team of people about how to do something in the future.
Come here.
You can find many other definitions, but they're all really very
We'll try
much
this.
similar.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
The point of this is, I would like to read a few key points from the Custer
That's
County
part of the
master plan as well as the Custer County zoning resolution.
Is this Mr. Sedmeyer?
Custer County master plan,
Mr. Sedmeyer.
one of Colorado's most beautiful mountain landscapes,
I object, Mr. Chairman.
agricultural, mining,
Yeah.
Western heritage.
Mr. Sedmeyer,
Yes,
pardon the interruption. If your intent is to espouse your opinions about the upcoming SUP, you will be allowed to do that.
no, that is not my intent. My intent is to discuss the importance of master plan and zoning resolution. It's a side issue, yes, it may be related, but it's a side issue.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you. So,
And silence you.
to connect its future with its past by protecting local values, preserving community assets, respecting property rights. The Sangre de Cristo planning area directions, our land use will be primarily ranching, farming, forestry, rural residential, and recreational. This is me talking now, this is outside of the document. Those are the only items specifically named. Now, land use policies, LU-1. The county will consider environmental and fiscal impacts of development proposals. That statement, in my opinion, alone suggests that the county and the county representatives must consider environmental and fiscal impacts of development proposals. Now, continuing to another final point, which is just in summary, we have two very fine documents, which I would describe as mini constitutions. We all love and respect the Constitution of the United States. We should all love and respect the master plan for Custer County and zoning resolution, and we should read it and learn it, and we should adhere to it. That's all I have to say. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Further public comment?
This is David Colbert.
Yes, sir. If your comments are pertaining to the agenda item concerning the SUP, I would ask that you wait until we get to that appropriate time on the agenda.
This
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Further comment?
This is Diana Polkinghorn.
Yes, ma'am. Again, I would ask that you, if your comments are pertaining to the pending SUP on the agenda, that you would hold those until then. But if not, go ahead.
My comment is to also support Bill and his statement and to just reiterate that I believe everyone should truly reflect upon the county master plan when making any decisions for use of land within the county. And that's my comment. Thank you.
Further public comment?
Hey, this is William Buckingham.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Chair recognizes you.
Yes, I agree with Bill on his comments on the master plan. And also this, I understand business has to go on, but this conference call is absolutely horrible as far as I can't hear you, it is so scratchy. I guess that's my only comment.
Thank you. Would you have any suggestions how we could do things differently given the circumstances?
I've already spoken, but I do have a comment on that.
And
The rest of my 3 minutes.
and who is this? I'll decide if that happens or not. Thank you. Mr. Sedmeyer.
Yes, what I would say is we have rooms or perhaps auditoriums available within the county. And just an idea, but I would suggest that in the future, perhaps we might move a meeting of this sort to the gymnasium if it doesn't have to be in use or if it can be arranged to be in use. And it would be big enough to allow for plenty of social distancing. We could all arrive wearing masks, understand that we needed to wear masks. And I think that the quality of communication would be dramatically improved. That's all I have.
Thank you. Point well taken. Further comment? Hearing none, we will move on. Staff reports. Has Brian indicated, is he here? Okay. Come in, sir. Thank you. If you can slide this chair back a little bit, then we can maintain 6-foot social distancing. I would appreciate that. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning,
Here
sir.
is the annual and quarterly report. And other than that, we've got that scraper coming probably next week now.
Okay.
They got to do maintenance on it. But other than that, everything's going good. That's all I have to
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, and I would request that we all wear face masks during the staff reports when we have guests in the room. Sorry. Give me just a minute.
Thank you. Would it be possible to get this report before you come to the meeting so that
Oh, yeah.
we have a chance to review it? If you could just email it to Kara, she can then send it to us, and I would really appreciate
Sure.
that because I haven't seen it, and I like to review the reports before I speak with you. But I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
And I recognize this is all new to you, so
Right.
it is not an issue. It's just for the future. Thank
Okay.
you.
Sure.
Yeah, if you could email your report to Kelly, then she can forward it to us in a board packet several days before the meeting. That'd be great.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so the scraper, you think next week, so the week of the week of the 13th, most likely.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm going to call them today and make sure, but
Okay.
they don't know. They got to do some maintenance on it. So.
You got an operator lined up?
Yeah.
Rusty.
I know, I was just asking if he's lined up for that day.
Yep. So Rusty's going to
Operator
Operator
slash trainer,
and
right?
train.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I think
Eventually, you will be the
yeah.
operator.
Mhm. So
That's a great plan.
yep.
How's everything else going out there?
Fine.
I haven't been out there for
Busy.
several weeks since we talked last time I was out there, but do you get a sense of
Yeah, I I talked to the engineers about the expansion, and so, they're going to come out probably next month and do some core testing, and then, because of our budget, we can't really go forward until next year. So,
Okay.
but hopefully next year, we can arrange everything to get this ball rolling down the hill faster. So we do have time, but yeah, it's busy out there.
Is it
I mean,
Yeah.
it's really busy.
equipment functioning?
Yeah, we gotta get the loader worked on. That's probably gonna happen next week.
Okay.
Just the annual service. or
Okay. Nothing major?
Nothing major.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. I'd just like to compliment you and your staff. I drive by on my way home and to work every day, and even on windy days, you're keeping the area very clean, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
And
thank
I
you.
know it's difficult with the winds and stuff.
Yeah, it can be difficult, but I mean that's my main goal is to make sure that people driving by, see that it's kept and just like Rusty had it. I mean, so yeah, I appreciate
I
that.
appreciate it. Thank
you.
you.
Other questions? Anything else, sir? Nope. Okay. We appreciate you coming in. Thank you.
Okay.
I go out there a lot, and you guys have you're looking real good.
Thank you.
Guys are working together well.
Yep. All right, guys.
All
Thanks.
right. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Road and Bridge is the next staff report. I spoke with Gary Hyde yesterday. He indicated he would be here today. He did send his report in our board packet, so we can pull that up. Here's Gary. Okay. Come on in, Gary. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good morning.
Say, Gary.
Thanks for sending us your report ahead of time. We appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Speak loud into the mic because they're having a hard time hearing us today.
Okay. Does it work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I spoke earlier during my commissioner's report about the water line project and indicated that most likely we're going to have a couple holes in that ditch open until we get the two valves that we're waiting on. Obviously, those will be barricaded with the upcoming events if we don't have them before then, huh?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would guess that at some point, there's a plan to fine grade what we have covered up so far.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to slip up there this afternoon and get that done. And I think if I spend this afternoon on it, I should be able to get it all done.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Okay, so in the way of the excavator, we've got that till the 24th, which is on a Friday of this month. And we've got, that's what we use to lay the main water line for this water line project. It's one we rented from Wagner Rents. And we've got a culvert down here on 387 in the Wetmore area that we're going to put in. And we're currently using it on Kettle, cleaning out the ditch on the west side south
Good.
of Mike Shields's. And then we should wrap that up today.
Wow.
And then we've got a wastewater holding tank that we're going to install at our shop on Tuesday of next week. But I think I'm going to use the backhoe to do that instead of the excavator. But I've got a couple more jobs for it out here on County Road 265 beyond Bear Basin. We've got some material that went underneath the fence line on the west side of the road, and a property owner, I spoke with her about that. We're going to remove some of the fence and clean that out for her with that excavator, and we'll load it up onto tandem trucks and then haul it off. And then over here on Muddy, we've got some ditch work to do with it over there also.
And you have capability to haul that transport,
Yes.
the low boy, or
Yeah, yeah. Or
pick that up.
we'll just take it back down. It's a money saver for us to just take it back down to them. We picked it up and we'll just haul it back. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, versus what they charge to haul it, I was going to save considerably. So I just went and got it. I do want to add that we've got one of our newer John Deere motor graders that the transmission failed in. And the engine's needing to be replaced also, so if we do that at the same time, we got an estimate on that. It's, well, they estimate it right around 70,000, but generally it comes in at, you know, a little bit more than that.
How old is that?
It's a 2008 model. It's got about 13,000 hours on it, roughly. So the engine, we've been just kind of letting it go. I mean, it's using oil and it smokes a lot, but while they've got the transmission out, it's a prime time to replace the engine also.
Oh.
So I talked to Donna about it, and if we end up not having the money at the end of the year in the budget, then we'll just do a supplemental and take it out of our fund balance to pay for it. So
Who would do the work?
we'll take it to Four Rivers and they'll do the work. We've got the M motor grader from Wetmore in our shop right now. We're pulling the engine out of it. It failed on us here a couple of weeks ago. Not the engine, but a part that required us to remove the engine. So Byron's in the process of pulling the engine so we can replace a part and get it going again. So
Certainly won't be that large of an expense as the other grader, correct?
not nearly. Mostly it's just, well, in
Part
fact,
and the labor.
yeah, and the part's pretty minimal as far as the expense. I don't even see it costing $1,000, so
Okay.
mostly it's just our labor that's going to be involved on it, fortunately.
Got a quick question, Gary.
Sure.
On the CenturyLink, when they dug in the lines, they pulled up some stuff, right, boulders and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And some time ago, I asked you to take a look and see if there's anything that they haven't fixed. And is there still stuff outstanding? Because I've got to get a hold of them again, and I've had some complaints about big boulders still laying around. And who would remove the big boulders? I think it's still on them right now, I think, unless we cut a different deal.
No, it's still going to be on. We haven't signed off on these permits.
That's what I thought.
Until we do, they're still responsible for any type of
Okay.
cleanup. So
So are you getting a hold of the ops guy, or are you having any problem talking with him?
no, not at all.
Okay,
They've been they've been real cooperative as
Yeah, that's
far as
what
doing
they-
anything we need done. They've
Okay.
had a couple of culverts that needed to be repaired. They did that. One individual out here on County Road 260, Rush Hollow, they complained about an area where they normally mowed in front of their house
Right.
that needed to be cleaned up, and they requested that it got reseeded. So
Okay.
that Polly went out there and reseeded it. So they took care of that. Yeah, Polly's the general contractor has been real good about just anything that needs to be done, they'll do it. So
Tom, did you have something else to follow up on that? Did I change the
you're
thought?
fine.
Okay, I got one
Fine.
other thing.
Go
then
ahead.
If we- you're always working hard on the roads that need repaired. There's no question, and we've gotten a lot of good comments about it. Other comments are that we see you doing this. When are you going to get to my chip seal? When are we going to chip seal thing? And we always told them, there's road base, grade it, chip seal it, asphalt. We'd love to have everything asphalted. Maybe a good thing to do from road and bridge point of view is to produce a work something in the newspaper says what's up on the road and bridge. Here's a schedule because we got a bunch of washes. We're going to be working hard over there, but our plan is to get back to chip sealing that road or grading out the washboard on the other one. Just something to make people understand that you're not just chasing our tails. We have a plan and we're working with it.
So by suggesting that, how often would you suggest we publish that in the paper? And the reason I asked is because when we do a want ad, it gets pretty expensive to put it in
Yeah.
both newspapers. And to be fair, we put it in both
Well,
newspapers. So
Right, and that's fine. It should be. But I think what the return is on that is probably worth, I don't know, you have to tell us. You got a budget. If you can fit it in, that's a good thing. Let us know, we can discuss it. The other one was doing a great job on the signs of the old names of the original roads, and getting a lot of good comments on that. And I asked them to get a hold of you if they see something that's either broken or turned or something else, if they need help. Has anybody called you? Okay. Just wanted to let you know they're getting a lot of positive press on those signs.
If Gary submits that as a press release, they should put it in the paper without charge.
True.
Yeah, I would think, and of course, we're only obligated to put it in the newspaper of record. You do not have to put that in both papers unless you want to.
okay.
Press release, you
It,
sure want to take advantage of.
And which one? It's the Sentinel. Is that
oh, the
correct?
newspaper of records of Wetmore.
Trib.
Okay.
Tom, can I say one other thing?
Yes, go ahead.
I wanted to commend Gary. He talked about the place in Boneyard Park where some gravels have been pushed under the woman's fence. I got a call from John Naylor, the former county attorney, who was calling on behalf of the owner of that property. She's a woman who lives in Pueblo. And I told John I'd get a hold of Road and Bridge and see if they could take a look. Gary was on it the same day. He talked to that woman, got it all taken care of. I think that's just terrific service by our Road and Bridge department.
Thank you. Appreciate the comments.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Clint.
And I just want to touch base because I don't want someone to be misled. Do you currently have any chip seal projects on the schedule for this summer?
Not this summer. We didn't have the funds for
Okay.
it. We had enough of the asphalt shouldering to do that we couldn't afford to do both chip seal and asphalt shouldering. So, and we were going to have to look into getting a different chip seal machine, and we didn't have the funds to buy that this year either. So,
I believe Commissioner Canada was using chip seal as an example. You weren't
Yeah.
suggesting. So I just wanted to make that clarification for anyone that's listening or watching today. So, what's the status of, I hate to call it mag chloride because I know that's not right, but treatment on any of the county roads? Is there anything on the schedule for that this summer?
well, I had enough funds, and I had intended to do Oak Creek grade, but with the rains we've had lately, it's helped to stabilize that road, so I've not put it on there. I've held those funds back in case we can get by and not put it on there. I'm going to keep monitoring that road, and if I feel like it needs it, we'll go ahead and put it on there, but otherwise we'll just hold those funds back.
I guess more as an advertisement. Obviously, these washboards continue to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct when I tell people the two biggest contributors to washboards in this county, well, three really, type of material, lack of moisture, and excessive speeds?
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, sir. Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Questions, comments for Mr. Hyde? Thank you for taking the time to come in. I know you guys are busy, so we appreciate it. Gary, thank you very much.
You're welcome. No problem.
Have a great day. Yep, thank you. Thanks for all the work on that water line.
Didn't get to it last time.
I want to make a quick comment, Tom, on the masks.
Go ahead.
If social distancing is okay, as long as that visitor is 6 feet away, I think it's okay, personally. Otherwise, we go to a room where we get more people in here and all wear the mask together. That's the
Yeah.
reason for the mask.
And the reason I asked for that was because obviously we're not 6
We
feet
can't do
here.
it here. That's what we could push him back.
Okay.
Makes it easier to communicate.
Next item of business is DHS. Good morning.
There she is.
She already did, yeah.
What?
How are you? Or wipe it down.
She wants
Right.
it dry.
Yeah.
You're getting two deals here. You're cleaning your clothes and you're at the same time talking.
Yeah, that's it.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm disinfecting my clothes. Good morning, how is everybody? It's good to see you. I can get my chair up.
I'm gonna scoot back.
Hey.
All righty. Well,
So thank you for sending us.
you're welcome. You're welcome. I was looking at the food assistance on May thinking, yeah, that report didn't run that right, and I'm still not sure it did because I reran it and it said the same thing, so I'm still not sure about that, but.
Do you know what page that is?
Oh, it's like third from the last, so.
Okay.
But I ran it again and it says the same thing, so I'm not sure what's going on with it. But it's just, I just think the numbers should be higher on that, and it's not. Because,
You're talking about the SNAP document?
yeah, it's a SNAP document.
Right, okay.
And if you look at April, we had 269 households for 106,000. And then in May, it was 273, and it was 81.29. And the state, starting, did a gave a supplemental to everybody. April, and one reason it's so high, well, that's true. One reason it's so high in April, it did part of March's too. So anybody that would have should have received like $95, I'm going to just use this for example. Household one, maximum benefits is $194. And if you have income, it can be, you're not going to get the max. But what they did, regardless if you had income or not, they gave everybody maximum benefits. They did it for March, April, May, June, and they're doing it this month too.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, but it could be because April is so high because it also did March's supplement.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that could be it. Because it just looked a little odd, but I ran it again and it said the same thing. So yeah, they have done that, and they have pushed out the redeterminations. They pushed out any redetermination for March and April and May. They've moved them out. So about October, we're going to get slammed big time because all those redeterminations that should have been done are going to hit. We were concerned about that when the state wanted to do it, but from the Fed side and their side, they thought that we should do that. So we're going to just have to see what happens with that. And that's when LEAP starts, so it's going to be a little busy. But outside of that, everything's about the normal. LEAP extended the LEAP program. It usually ends in April out to August. We're not seeing a whole lot of people applying. It's summertime. They're not needing that benefit, so we're not seeing that. We've been doing commodities. You're back, I'm sorry, I'm skipping around. We've been doing the commodities. We've been issuing them instead of having people stand in line. We're bringing them to the cars. I don't have my volunteers in there because it's too crowded and too congested, so we're going in, just making up boxes, and on that day we're bringing them out. So that's working. It's just taking a little bit more time for us to do it, but we're getting it done. And we've seen a little bit of increase. We were doing on the average about 30 boxes every month. I got commodities coming in next Monday, so we'll see what happens with that.
1 box per household?
Yep, 1 box per household. The community service block grant got some additional funds that I just received them the end of June that are specific for COVID. And it's about $12,000, but it has to be for a family, families that are, the reason they need help is because it's a COVID related, and I'm not sure how we're going to be able to tell exactly how, what the criteria is for that, on how we're supposed to determine that. So I'm going to get with UCOG, and hopefully they can give me a little bit of a guideline on how we're supposed to do that. But we've got some additional money for that. So that'll be helpful. And it's good through December. So that'll be helpful in the winter months when it hits. So outside of that, I don't have anything specific. We spent at the beginning when we didn't have some supplies for COVID. We just bought them. And so we've got all the invoices, and so I don't know, we're talking about that money. Who do we turn them into? When do we turn them in?
You can submit those to Karen. She will create a file to put those in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, we're in the process of trying to get that whole program up and running, so you can hang on to them until we
Get it going.
holler at you and say we're ready for them, or you can give them to Kara as you go. It's
It doesn't matter.
either one's
We
fine.
just pulled them because we got some gowns for in case we had to go out to homes, because we didn't have any of that stuff. We didn't have the gloves. We didn't have the mask right at first. So we just ordered them, and so we just have the invoices on those, so we'll just turn them in. But I thought I'd ask.
Yep. Either one would be fine.
Okay.
You know, a good question to ask maybe on that line would be, since you're funded by the state a lot,
Mhm.
in order to maximize the money the county has, you know, whatever proportion that is, it seems like maybe the state ought to help reimburse some of those expenses through their extra fund that they have.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything that specifically says for supplies or anything. What I have seen on my side is if we had to have people, work overtime once they got back into their offices,
Yeah.
they had funding for that, which we haven't used. But I haven't seen much on
Well,
supplies.
the way maybe you look at it is, you mentioned going out to see somebody.
Mhm.
That's part of the job. That's funded a lot by the state funds that are having you go out there and do that.
Right, well,
And so, you know, maybe there's somebody you could call to find out if there's some way to reimburse you for some of the extra expenses in order
Okay.
to do that.
when we bought the supplies and, we just pulled them out of our budget, I submitted them to the state, so they're paying 80% of them.
Okay.
On that aspect of it. So we've done it that way.
Yeah.
That's a good way to
So
look
we
at it.
got the
Mhm.
reimbursement on that side of it that way.
Right. Then you could submit the other 20% to the CARES.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll
that-
just submit
that-
it and then, it's there, so it can come
Yeah, it
back
makes a
into
good
the
one.
county.
So that
Yeah.
supply is above what you're normally getting reimbursed 80% for.
Right.
Good.
Okay. I don't have anything else. You guys have
Okay,
anything
questions?
else?
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you
welcome.
coming in. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
Have a great day.
You. Of course.
My brow's a little. Feel like a surgeon.
Yeah, get scalpel.
Yeah. Our next staff reports, Mr. John, VSO. Good morning, sir. How are you? Thank you for coming over. We appreciate that.
Well, you know, I figured I could be an anachronism. And it really goes good with my camouflage hat.
And your camouflage shirt.
All right, gentlemen. I have been picking up on numbers over the last month. Still a little bit hogtied just because of the fact that the VA is still not open fully. The National Archives are open for emergency only. Colorado Division of Veterans Affairs is still working from home. So it does limit what I can do as far as claims and things like that, but we're still getting stuff done. Everything that I have has to be faxed it directly to the VA. I'm having to sidetrack CDVA just because they're all working from home. The Veterans Trust Fund, we're looking at hopefully August as far as being able to do distributions again. We have a lot of new rules that we have to follow from the state, so we're looking at doing a town hall meeting so that we can explain to everybody that utilizes the Veterans Trust Fund what we're going to have to do. My food bank is still open for anyone in need if they contact us through the volunteer coordinators. And then the good thing that we did this month, we built a wheelchair ramp for Forrest Gump so he could get his friend out, Shelly to come out and visit. His birthday is coming up on the 17th of July. He will be 95 years old, and if anybody wants to come over, we have a giant card for him.
You're going to be over here.
Yeah, I have a giant card at my office that I will be trying to get everybody to sign.
Good.
Other than that, gentlemen, that is all I have, unless you have questions.
I do, but I can wait. Anyone else?
I'm good.
Nope, thanks, John. Good job.
Commissioner Prince, anything?
No, sir.
Yeah, we were just talking about this with DHS. Can you identify any extraordinary, out of the ordinary, obviously, expenses due to the coronavirus?
For my office, no.
Okay.
I received the grant for the food cards, $2,500 for food cards. That was May. I really have not had any
Okay.
weird expenditures
Okay.
out
Do
of
you,
my office.
would you anticipate any between now and the end of the year? For
No.
example, I don't want to split hairs, but you said you're having to fax a lot of stuff that you normally wouldn't have.
I don't think it's going to change
Okay.
my budget. My travel budget has been obviously, reduced, or my expenditures for travel have obviously been reduced, so I still should be fine as far as my normal yearly
Okay.
budget. And my food cost, I have no food cost whatsoever as far
Okay.
as my food bank.
Okay, well, if anything changes, please track that and submit it. We'll try to get reimbursed for that
Absolutely.
through the CARES Act money.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we approve the VSO report for June of 2020.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded to approve the June 2020 report from the VSO. Discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Commissioner Kanda?
Aye.
Flower votes aye. Motion carries. All right, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, gentlemen. have a good
Appreciate
night.
you taking time to come in. Have a great day, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
So the next staff report scheduled was for the Extension Office. I have communicated with Guinevere Nelson, our Extension Director. She is at a doctor's appointment today. She asked to be excused from her report, and I told her I didn't think that would be an issue. She said she didn't have a whole lot because obviously things have been kind of clamped down on her end. I know she would have given us her thoughts and predictions about the upcoming fair and the livestock sale. I think both of those are going to occur. I've spoken with people on the fair board and the sale committee, and so it looks like that we're going to get that off the ground and running. We're kind of all crossing our fingers because we never know. Polis could turn around next week and put the clamps back down on this state. He's already starting to because of the spike in the confirmed cases. We hope we can just get through the 18th of July before that happens. So
Agree.
with that, IT report, Vernon indicated to me he didn't really have anything significant to report, and he'd much prefer, given the circumstances, to be over there in his office. He said, I just don't have a whole lot to report to you. So I said, well, that was fine. That concludes the staff reports. Any questions, comments we need to pass along before we move on the agenda, gentlemen?
None here.
Okay.
I have none. I would request a couple minutes.
Okay,
recess.
yeah, by consent, we'll take about a 3 or 4 minute recess. do some timing when we get to that point? Okay, I forgot to ask you earlier, sorry. Meeting will come back to order. Go ahead, sir.
I don't know if you noticed it, but the Office of Emergency Management recommended that we wear our masks during the entire meeting. She just sent a message, since we're not 6 feet apart, and I'm going to comply with that, and I recommend that we all do.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next item of business, consideration of installing a water system for the lawn at the county building. I reached out to a local contractor. I think I mentioned that at a previous meeting. We did get a bid back. So I'm kind of in that gray area of what we think we should do about that as a Board of County Commissioners. I think Ivan's done a great job this summer of trying to maintain our lawns around the county building and associated flower beds. He has a above ground sprinkling system set on timers. He waters at night. Unfortunately, it doesn't get all of the flower beds, so he's having to do some hand watering there as well. But so a conversation was, should we look at getting an underground sprinkler system put in? So I reached out to local contractors and said, hey, can you give us a bid to see how much it would cost? I have no idea what it would cost. And he did that. I guess my question is, are you interested in looking at bid by itself? Do you feel we need to put this out for competitive bids? Are you interested in moving forward with that process at all? Did I email you a copy of that bid? Are you aware of the dollar amount?
Around $10,000.
No, sir. I beg to differ. Let me pull it up. Yeah. So I want to be a little careful here. I don't want to go off the rails and start talking about a bunch of stuff. If you feel like we need to pursue that on an open bid system, I don't think it'd be fair to start talking about dollar amounts today. So I'm just feeling a little bit unsure as to how we think we should proceed.
They'll all probably exceed the $5,000 threshold, right?
I would guess.
Maybe not.
I don't know. I can't
But you
really
don't know.
speak to that. Yeah. So
But I think we need to pursue it.
when I spoke to this individual, he was a little frustrated because he said that he had presented 5 bids in the past and never got anywhere with that. I'm surely they
Lower his bids then.
communicated with them, but so he wasn't reluctant to do it. He said, hey, I'll do it again, but understand, man, I've already done this 5 times. And I said, okay. And I indicated then, I have no idea what your bid's going to be. I have no idea what the commissioners want to do, and I have no idea if we can afford whatever. So I wonder if maybe the wise approach would be to postpone this for now, look at it at budget time, and if we feel like it's something we need to do, then we budget for it. We budget X number of dollars, and if we can get it done for that, great. If we can get part of it done for that, great, or whatever. If we can't get any of it done for that, I don't know. So
Why are we
open
not
for
tracking on the
suggestions.
maintenance? Are we over our budget now on things that we can use it for that might roll forward otherwise?
I don't know that we're over on our maintenance budget, no. Our maintenance budget has nowhere of this kind of money
No,
in it.
not that much.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, one of the reasons I brought this up was because we had saved significant money on what we allocated for the water line to the fairgrounds. And my thought was that we wouldn't be going into the budget, we would just be reallocating the money that was previously earmarked for the water line, since there was a significant savings, I was surprised by the number you just showed me. I thought it was significantly less. So I thought a good use of that money without going into the budget, without capital improvements, this would be a good time to look at that. I think ultimately it's in the best interests of the county to have this. But of course we have other projects that are more pressing. So to me it was kind of like found money. We were looking at a water line, which is similar to what a sprinkler system is. So it just kind of made sense that we could wrap both of those together and still be within the budget that we originally allocated for the water line to the Saddle Club.
Yeah, I have another thought too on that. I think this would be a good year to apply it for the exact reason why people are getting grant money because of this COVID stuff. It's a contractor that can make a living now, not wait till next year when he's out of business potentially. So I think it's an important thing to do, especially if we can stay within the budget we had anyway. And this is new money, not new money. It's money that we saved, can be allocated, and maybe we look at other things that might be more higher priority. But I think it's a pretty good one.
So, what would you prefer to do? Obviously, I think it's going to be over the threshold that we would need to go out to public bid.
Yeah, I think we should put it out for bid and see what we get.
Exactly, Bill. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. My recommendation is exactly what Bill just said. I think since we have a few dollars earmarked for water project, let's put it out for bid. We don't have to accept any of them. And let's see, maybe the one bid you got is exceedingly high. I don't know. So I would say let's put it out for bid and let's see where it goes.
Okay. I can work with Vernon. We'll come up with a linear footage indicate in the RFP we're looking for a bid to put in X number of feet of sprinkler system.
And probably ought to have what's the nuances of where our taps are, and we know some things about this old building that need to be accounted for in the bid.
So that's going to be a problem. Again, I struggle with writing these RFPs because I get fried every time I write one because I forget one of those nuances and it comes back to bite us, and I don't care for that. Yes, sir.
Well, my suggestion would be let's not give them the specific details other than these are the areas that we want watered and sprinkled, and let them determine what it is, what information they need, and then they can come to us and we can give them where the taps are and that kind of information. I'd rather leave the onus on them, because if we do make a mistake, they can come back easily and say, well, you failed to disclose something. I'd rather them ask us what they need, and then we could supply the information to them.
And the way you do that, and we've talked about this before, is to have a bidders conference after the RFP's out there. Everybody comes in, has equal chance to hear the questions everybody's asking, so they're on the same level playing field, and the answers are the same. And they come in here and do exactly what you're asking.
I agree with that, Bill. We did that with the Justice Center. I mean, we have precedent for that. And to me, that just makes more sense. That way we're responding to their questions as opposed to giving them information which may inadvertently not be correct.
Right.
All right, I will work with Ivan and see if we can't get something put together, and I'll bring back to the board before we go to publication. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, next item of business, consideration of the Three Peaks Ranch SUP. I want to set the tone here, if I may. I will ask the Planning Commission for their recommendation to the BOCC and any opening comments that they care to make. And the chair, by unanimous consent of the Board of County Commissioners, will limit public comment to 3 minutes per person. The chair will enforce the right of first debate, meaning everyone will be allowed an opportunity to comment before the chair will recognize anyone wanting to speak for the second time. This will not be a general conversation between people that are either calling in, nor would I allow it if people were sitting in the commissioner room with us live. So I would ask you to respect that. Chair will allow discussion on this particular agenda item prior to any motion pertaining to this agenda item if there are no objections from the commissioners. If the commissioners object to that, then we will follow the letter of the parliamentary rule, and we will not discuss until a motion has been made. I would ask, gentlemen, do you have a feeling for that one way or the other?
I'm fine with the former, sir, what you suggested.
Okay, yeah. All right, thank you. So the chair will allow discussion on this item prior to any motion if that is the wish of the commissioners. I would also say that anyone participating in the public comment, I would ask that you do not reiterate something that's already been said. We have ears and we are listening. You can certainly say, I agree with the previous speaker, but I believe that would be sufficient. I don't think we need to hear it over and over again on any one particular comment. We will be listening and taking notes. So with that, I would turn the floor over to the chairman of the Planning Commission, Vic Barnes. I would ask for you to present your recommendation and any opening comments or remarks you care to make, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me adequately?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. As far as our recommendation, we know that the process that has transpired. We had a presentation, and then the complications of COVID, which we had no control over, delayed a lot of the process, and in the interim, a lot of information was distributed by various people. Our initial recommendation at the Planning Commission was approval of the Three Peaks Ranch SUP with, I believe it was 14 or 15 conditions, and then subsequently some information became available that perhaps there was a misunderstanding of the process and what activities could be done or could not be done. And at that point in time, I was advised by legal counsel that I should withdraw the recommendation of the Planning Commission and then request that the Board of County Commissioners not consider the SUP application at the next meeting, and then subsequently, and then also at that time, that because there was so much new information that was available, that we would have a continuation of the hearing at another time period, which would have been July 6th. Subsequently, legal counsel indicated that should be canceled, and it was canceled, and so that takes us to the point we're at now. And I believe our attorney is there. I believe that the interpretation is that our recommendation has been reinstated. Is that correct? Oh, come on.
That's correct. The decision was made that once the Planning Commission made a recommendation, it was in the hands of the Board of County Commissioners, and they're going forward on the recommendation, the initial recommendation that was approved by the Planning Commission.
Thank you, sir. So your recommendation today, Chairman Barnes, is?
The recommendation is the same one as it passed on, Mr. Chairman, that for approval of the Three Peaks Ranch SUP
All right, thank you, sir. Discussion, commissioners? Commissioner Prince, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It is my understanding, if I understood you correct, Mr. Barnes, is that the reason the recommendation is still for approval is because once you gave us your initial recommendation of approval, you cannot withdraw that until the Board of County Commissioners makes a determination. However, subsequent to that, you've received additional information that may or may not have led to your recommendation of approval or not. Am I understanding the process correctly? I listened very carefully. I'm trying to understand, make sure I'm correct.
Yes, that's, you have it, Mr. Commissioner. That's correct. We took the recommendation, the planning and zoning presented the recommendation to the BOCC, and it was scheduled for a hearing, and then additional information came in that there was some activities that perhaps the applicants were not aware that they could or not could be done, and at that time I was advised by the legal counsel to withdraw the recommendation. So you're correct in that statement.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to ask counsel a question, please.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Clint, Mr. Smith, do we, since they have made their recommendation, can we, as a Board of County Commissioners, reject the recommendation without accepting or rejecting the SUP itself, send it back to the committee so that they can reconsider their recommendation to us based upon this new information?
The Board of County Commissioners has the discretion today of going forward on the application and the recommendation as it now exists, or if you choose, you can say that you want more information and you could refer it back to the Planning Commission for further investigation and for a supplemental report and recommendation. You have the discretion to, I mean, today you could vote to approve, you could vote to deny the application, you could make the decision, send it back, you could make the decision you're not going to even take a vote on it if you wanted to. It's strictly up to the Board of County Commissioners at this point.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Commissioner Kanda, anything?
Yeah, I understand the same thing and am aware of that. I think that would probably be a smart thing to do is not, I want to make a decision with all the data at hand that's appropriate. And then second place, I would also like to do it as timely as we can, and I think that's a good reason why we have the meeting today, would be that way so that we don't have our citizens out there that wanted to do things, for or against, doesn't matter. But I'd like to get it done as quick as we can so we can help the community either by approving this or not, but with all the data that we've got. So I would like to table this to the next meeting, but maybe that's not the right process.
No, it's fine. May I follow up on Commissioner Kander's comment?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Your point is exactly on point and correct. The only concern is we, the commissioners, can have a special meeting to approve or not approve to move this along because we're in the wedding season right now. The unfortunate part, my understanding, is that the Planning Commission must put out notice 30 days in advance, which would put them into August already, and some of the wedding venues, I suspect, go away if that's in case what would happen. So I'm concerned about timing. So I just wanted to bring that up.
So how do we work the timing then,
And
is
that's
the question.
exactly the right question.
Right. Yeah, your point is accurate. Posting requirements for planning and zoning or planning commission meetings are 30 days prior. So I have some questions and concerns, Chairman Barnes, I would like to pose to you, but I will defer because they're fairly lengthy. So if you guys have other questions or comments before I get into that, feel free.
Mr. Chairman, I went through carefully the planning and zoning report, and I have some issues that were not discussed in here. For example, how the venue would take into consideration the COVID-19 restrictions that we're facing now and may face in the future. However, I'm thinking if we choose, and I'm not saying we are, but if we choose to send this back to the Planning Commission, I think I would just as soon just give a list to Chairman Barnes and say, these are the things that I noticed that I had a concern about, and then let the Planning Commission determine how they feel it's appropriate to recommend to us. So that's just my comment, sir.
Okay. So, Barnes, I probably made this clear. I certainly am concerned about land use in this particular zone where this property is located. I'm assuming that the Planning Commission took that into account. I also am aware, because I read the minutes, that during your hearing there was a lot of discussion about economic development. It is my understanding that the Planning Commission has nothing to do with economic development. They are charged with addressing land use. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct, and it's often a problem we have with SUP discussions and people don't understand that our charge is to try to protect the rural heritage of Custer County as defined in both the master plan and in the resolution, and so we are just to consider the environmental impacts of any proposed SUP, as well as the impacts on nearby adjoining or nearby landowners. And so that doesn't mean that the Planning Commission members individually aren't concerned and aware of economic development, but that's not our job. Our job is specifically to deal with those impacts I just talked about.
Okay. Thank you. And what is Zone 1 zoned as land use wise?
Would you repeat that, Chairman, please?
Yes, what is Zone 1 zoned as pertaining to land use?
Primarily agricultural use.
Residential as well?
On the four zones we have, that's the one that's most specifically oriented towards agricultural use.
All right. Okay, thank you. So, and as Commissioner Prince indicated, if you're interested, I could provide you with a list of my questions and concerns. I don't expect you to jot all these down as we go. I'm also concerned about the lack of any stated time constraints pertaining to when this designed or designated parking lot that was listed as number 4 on the application and an engineered septic system, which was number 3 on the application, would be installed. I didn't see any dates to say, okay, one of the conditions is that you need to have a septic system installed by this date. I did not see that. If it's in there, could you point me to that? But that was one of my concerns, that there was no end date to that expectation.
That's correct, and the only thing that is in there, and I'll have to refer to it, and Jackie will help me here if I don't say it correctly, but those items that you mentioned must be done prior to any events, any activities associated with the SUP. We probably should have specified that, but that's the general
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was going to get to the erosion control. I'll speak to that now. Number 9 on the conditions of the application specifically says, and I quote, "A detailed plan for erosion control will be required before the final approval of the SUP. The Planning and Zoning Office must approve the erosion plan." So my question, I guess, I would ask this to Jackie, because it indicates that it's probably going to go to her office. Have you received a detailed plan for erosion control?
No.
Okay, thank you. I'll move on here. I don't want to get bogged down. I also have a concern that, unless I missed it, and I don't believe I did, that the application nor the conditions address how many days would be allowed for each event. I know that the applicants acquiesced to the number of days back down to the figure that the Planning Commission wanted. I did not, or sorry, how many events that they wanted, but I did not see any language about how many days each event would be limited to. Did I miss something?
To my knowledge, you did not. I'll ask Jackie here, but we did not put that in there.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And as Commissioner Prince mentioned, and I'll just mention it because I was concerned about it, I didn't see any language in the application addressing dealing with any governor's orders or state or local public health orders concerning the pandemic. I understand this process started way before the coronavirus hit our county, but I still think we would not be doing our due diligence if we didn't look into that now, because it is a current situation that I think needs to be addressed. So,
Can I comment on that? Because I agree. However, I don't think that that's pertinent in that it is pertinent to everybody in the county. And so that would be something that they would have to do to conduct business anyway, I would think, as opposed to the specifics of the SUP land use issue. That's
okay.
Just my thought.
All right. No, respectfully, yeah, good point. And then I didn't see any language which kind of raised my concern about the lack of language or documentation or information pertaining to plans for constructing additional buildings on the property and what those buildings would be used for, and I refer to number 11 on the application itself. Is that something we should be concerned about? If we approve this SUP, can the applicants then move forward in a normal routine of applying for I don't want to call it a building permit, a zoning permit to build additional buildings? I mean, we're looking at this SUP based on what is in the document now. Should I and we as commissioners be concerned about what's going to happen in the future based on the language? I know none of us can project what's going to happen in the future, but I'm talking about based on the language that's in this SUP today.
Well, you're correct, Mr. Chairman. There was a number of things in the conditions that probably we should have gone a little bit further in those conditions. We haven't in the past. This particular SUP was a little bit more difficult and more complex than most that we've had in the past. But you are correct that the recommendation that the Planning Commission made is specific to those structures and facilities that exist now. And so if there were additional buildings or additional facilities required for their activities, they would have to come in, and I'll defer to Jackie, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, they would have to come in and seek an amendment to this current SUP. Correct.
All right, thank you. I know I'm all over the board here, but I'm going to ask it. These were in no particular order. just through my research, these are questions I came up with. I do not know as a county commissioner, I'm referring to condition number 2, as what constitutes reasons for termination of the SUP. I realize the language in this document calls for a review after 2 years and then a review upon a written complaint. But I don't know, and I'm not real comfortable with a lack of the language in any SUP application of what constitutes viable reasons for terminating an SUP.
No, and, obviously one would be if the applicants decide that they no longer want to pursue the activities of the SUP. Another one would be if there's a violation of the SUP, and then I've talked to Clint, our legal counsel, and then that would automatically go to our section in the resolution regarding violations of the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
And I can follow up on that
Go
just
ahead,
very briefly.
Counselor.
That if there is a violation of the conditions of the SUP, the procedure would have to be to pursue legal action for the violations under the penalty provisions of the zoning resolution. And if the actions are something that are going to continue, we could seek to have a permanent injunction to shut it down and to put an end to the SUP, but that would have to be through a legal proceeding.
Okay. Thank you. So, Chairman Barnes, is it your understanding that the applicants have agreed that there will be no tents or RVs allowed on the property? Speaking to condition number 12.
At the time that we worked on those conditions, they were agreeable to the conditions that we have in there, so the answer is yes.
Wow, okay. And then, this may not be a fair question, but to your knowledge, the Planning Commission's knowledge, are the Sons planning to continue to live on that property and conduct this business? I guess I'm asking for your opinion.
I really don't know what their plans are as far as living on, how much time they're going to spend on the property, Three Peaks property.
Okay. And then I was a little confused about the liquor license. I know there's language in there that the vendors would have to have a liquor license and insurance and whatever. Would a vendor, I guess this maybe is a Kelly in the clerk's office question or Jackie, but would a vendor coming up here to do whatever they do for a wedding, would they have to apply for a liquor license for our county?
Yes, they would.
I was actually asking it more to Kelly. I'm sorry, I didn't make that very clear. So Kelly's about to give an answer to that question.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be a liquor license, it would be a special use or special events permit.
That could include liquor.
That is a liquor, it's different from
Call a county liquor license, right?
Yeah.
So if Three Peaks Ranch was going to host a wedding up here and they were going to have a vendor serve alcohol, that vendor would need to come to the county and apply for a special events permit.
Yes.
And do those permits come before the commissioners? I mean, we've done them, obviously. In
Yes.
this circumstance, would it?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then I've got another question. It may not be fair to ask you, so I think I will wait and ask the question to the applicants. I believe it'd be more appropriate then. So in closing, those are some concerns and questions I had. Thank you for the answers that you were able to provide. I would turn the floor over. Go ahead, sir.
A quick question. So, we've got to reset why we're having this discussion. It was to understand where we are with the application as it stands. And are we also trying to figure out what new information there is, or are we we don't know, right? So the questions that we all have are all related to the current application. Just want to make it clear.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, Chair will turn the floor over to John and Karen Sun, the applicants on behalf of Three Peaks Ranch. Folks, I would ask you to respect everyone's time. I will not impose a 3-minute time limit. That floor is yours. Anything that you want to bring before the county commission?
In regards to the liquor license, I did specifically ask, when we were in the meeting presenting this application and even before, if the liquor license was going to be required, and we were told by planning and zoning, no, it was not, if they were licensed, insured liquor vendors that were serving alcohol that was not a cash bar.
Okay.
That forward with our application.
Okay.
That would be the case for all weddings on the property.
State statute, that is not correct. Yep, and that's why I asked the question. I just wanted to get any clarification and have this conversation. Not throwing anybody under the bus, but one of the clerk's jobs is to issue special event permits, and they always come to the county commissioners. So I just wanted to put that up on the table. So thank you for that. Go ahead, ma'am.
And then, in regards to staying on the property, yes, the plan was to add another cabin for me and John to stay in, so we could be here to supervise all the weddings and to ensure that they were following all the regulations.
Okay, you said that was the plan. Is it currently the plan, or?
Well, yeah, that is currently the plan.
All right,
I was down to present the permit, for that cabin, and I was told to hold off because we might be restricted with the SEC that we couldn't build anymore, which won't work because we have to be on the property to supervise the wedding. And we're also a working ranch. We have horses, and we have other agricultural buildings that we still need to build on this property. So for us to proceed with not building anymore, it doesn't work for us.
Okay, all right. I just was curious, and it probably wasn't fair for me to ask the chairman that question. I probably should have waited and asked it to you directly. So.
And one other thing I just wanted to touch on is, as we're all being concerned with the master plan mission statement, as well as the Custer County mission statement, is there is a part in there that was not read that says part of the mission at Custer County is to accommodate managed growth and compatible economic development.
Correct.
In my opinion, this is 3 acres of an 80-acre lot that the buildings have intentionally been built to be in exactly what you would hope in a community. Spectacular views with with the exception of the Poke and Horns, the nearest house is a mile away. Better for a wedding venue. You're not going to get much more spread out in Custer County than where we are. And I think, if the county's goal is truly to accommodate managed growth and compatible economic development, in my opinion, this is about as good as it gets. And that's all I have to say, I guess, for my portion. Does John?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Sund. Okay, we need to mute any phones except for the Suns or any other speakers. If you're not speaking, then we would ask you mute your phones, please. Go ahead, sir.
Hi. I'd just like to begin with that we're just trying to do things the right way, like working with the neighbors. So we've kind of gone through the planning commission, I guess. Doing that, I feel the concerns showed him where the houses were, and he assured us that would not be a problem with the music. They wouldn't hear it. And then the property which is closest to us is the Polkenhorns to the east, and their biggest concern was garbage. So I think in the last meeting, there's no paper allowed, no like dishes, stuff like that. Everything is plate. So that was kind of that concern. So I think we've been trying to work to, their main concerns were, we tried to address them.
Okay.
So, and also the time. It was also in that first meeting that, we started out a soft process, no more music. Brought up by people at 10 o'clock, so we did that. So, I guess we're trying to work with people as best we can.
Okay.
And so, that's, and as far as the septic, I thought it was, that second meeting was, that they were going to allow us to do porta potties for the first year, or, they're all over the place, people use them for construction sites and everything else. Water was from a legal water source. So, I mean, I thought that that was all in the planning. So anyway, that's about all I have.
Okay. I specifically didn't ask about water because I believe it is addressed in item number 7. Commissioners, if they have any comments or questions for the Sons. Hold on.
My name is Andrew Meyer. I'm the legal counsel for the applicant. I was wondering if I might have a moment to follow up on a few points that John and Karen have raised.
Okay, you may, but I'm going to ask you to hold off and let me see if commissioners have any questions for the Sons.
Of course.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. and Mrs. Sun,
Speak up, Jay.
would that mean that a septic system available? I'm sorry. I was muted. I'll start again. Mr. and Mrs. Sun, I appreciate your comments. I do have a question about septic and sanitation. You mentioned that you would have a septic system installed at the beginning of the second season. You're talking about the second wetting season. I'm assuming that starts probably in April, May, or June, somewhere in that system. And if in fact that was not done, then you would accept the SUP if it was approved to be nullified at that time if you failed to comply?
Yes, the goal was to have the septic system in by time the wedding season begins mid-May of 2021.
I understand. Thank you for that response.
Mr. Meyer, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, commissioners. So as I just wanted to follow up on a few of the points that John and Karen had touched on previously, and then also to reference back to the master plan, since one of the commenters was given an opportunity to sort of preview, I think, where some of the discussion, another public comment is going to be going here momentarily. Custer County that are happening all around the wedding venue as designed here. So let's be clear, this is not some kind of attempt to bring a big city wedding experience to Custer County or anything like that. This is a business that's built on the very values that make Custer County such a great place in the first place. And for purposes of today's consideration by the Board of County Commissioners, that use that we're talking about has been found to have conformed with the applicable land use criteria after a thorough review process through the Planning and Zoning Office and then the Planning Commission. So we're talking about a county review process that involves a full application procedure as provided in the code, a review of the criteria spelled out in the Custer County zoning resolution by multiple layers of county officials, public comment, hearings, reviews and studies of the property, and then this detailed series of proposed permit conditions that are designed to make sure that this proposed operation is a positive addition to the community and that one that conforms with applicable law. So after that thorough vetting of this criteria and after the applicant has already been through that process, that has led to the recommended approval that was voted on and signed off by the Planning Commission and that we're considering today. So to the extent that we want to talk about any of that new information, I think that the applicant is ready and willing and prepared to talk about any of that new information that the Planning Commission has brought up. But what has been referenced so far in this hearing does not seem, at least in my view so far, to be related to any of the applicable special use permit review criteria or any of the proposed permit conditions. Rather, it seems to be concerned that there may have been a premature small function that was held while the permit conditions were being discussed and the application was being discussed. I would just hope that the commissioners take all of that into consideration as they consider next steps in exercising their discretion for the matter before them.
Thank you. Other public comment. I would ask that you identify yourself and please respect the 3-minute time limit. If that gets abused, I have no problem asking our IT director to mute all of the phones until we can come to some kind of understanding. So with that, I know folks want to have their time to speak about this. That's what we're here for. Not trying to quelch an opportunity for anyone to speak, but we will do this in a organized and respectful manner. So with that, if you have public comment, go ahead.
Yes, this is Bill Kuzma, and I'm sorry.
Okay, state your name again because somebody walked over you, so will you state your name again?
Yes, it's Bill Goodmeyer.
Okay, go ahead, Bill, thank you.
All right, I apologize for the rapid speech. Custer County Zoning from July 31, 2018, on page 63 under 9.7, it says special use submission requirements and criteria states any special uses shall be subject to the following provisions. Such use does not jeopardize the safety of people or endanger wildlife, does not cause water pollution, substantial amounts of offensive noise, smoke, dust, odors. All of this would be produced by the Three Peaks Ranch. 200 attendees will generate an incredible amount of dust. So music emanated from an open-sided pavilion will be much louder than is being suggested it will be. Every other venue that I know of has closed sides on their pavilion. So on page 64 of the zoning resolution,
Okay.
it says motor vehicle traffic to and from such use shall not create hazards or nuisances. Well, it's impossible for Three Peaks Ranch to guarantee there will not be DUIs associated with alcohol consumption at a wedding. We've all been to weddings. We know that it's a difficult thing to control. It's likely to happen. Wildlife mitigation is point H in the zoning resolution. No wildlife mitigation plan has been offered by
Okay.
I believe the negative surrounding Three Peaks Ranch request for a special use permit far outweighs the positive. Custer County zoning resolution clearly prohibits the special use permit on multiple points. The special use permit request is also in conflict with Custer master plan on multiple points. I ask the board to act in the best interest of the county and current and future residents and deny this permit. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
That's all.
Other public comment?
Mr. Commissioner, may I speak? Deb Adams?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm speaking from the Tourism Board point of view. First off, I do want to clarify the definition of recreational that Bill has mentioned is relating to or denoting activity done for enjoyment whenever one is not working. So a wedding is a recreational activity. I'd also like to remind Custer County of their strategic plan and that tourism was one of the top three things that you want to pursue. So a venue of this caliber would enhance the ability for tourism to expand beyond the summer season. With that, I have seen from looking at the website that the owners of Three Peaks Ranch had a dream, and they invested in the Wet Mountain Valley. And denying them their dream after they have put in 10 years of love and labor over because the neighbors don't approve of it is just kind of a sad thing. Speaking of dreams, a wedding. A wedding is a milestone in people's lives. Women, I don't think so much the grooms, but brides dream about the day that they have this wedding. So this property has been designed to make dreams come true. That means that you can come to the Wet Mountain Valley and have your dream come true. Friends and travel. If you're speaking about tourism, and I know that you know that tourism is a very important economic driver in this community. Bringing people in to attend a wedding is a small event compared to the many festivals that this town has had in the past, this summer not included, of course. But we bring in thousands of people for festivals with music, with road travel, with activity, with businesses being supported. Trends in travel, glamping is a trend, astro-tourism, people seeking solitude, outdoor recreation, wilderness. Those are all trends in travel that Three Peaks Ranch can provide. You're talking about two people, one an architect and one a cowboy. So I would like you to take into consideration your strategic plan to develop tourism and know that a property of this caliber is something that is good, is advantageous to the future. The vision statement in this master plan says that you want to seek to connect its future with its past. And Three Peaks Ranch is something that can take us into the future. Also, the comment about South Colony Road and traffic.
With respect, I'm going to have to call time, Deb.
Road is one of the busiest roads for the trailhead for people to go into the
Miss Adams,
So I don't think that the occasional wedding.
you have used your 3 minutes.
65. Thank you.
Other public comment?
My name is David Colbert.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, David. We can hear you.
Okay, I submitted a letter. Did you guys receive that short statement letter?
We did.
Okay, I won't address much of that. I'm going to address some of that. I don't have a lot of time. Several things. I am not the one that instructed tired and not real happy with this condition going on with this. I'd like to see you guys table this until there's more information on it. You know, that way the Sons can have their lawyer draw up something else. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. But please, respect the landowners around it, the people that have invested years in this country down there. And I thank you.
You're welcome. A quick question, if I may, sir. Are you an adjoining landowner?
Yes, to the south of them.
And may I be rude enough to ask you how many acres?
I have about 900 acres, over 900.
Thank you. Other public comment? You guys want to ask a question? You just hold.
This is Diana Polkinghorn.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, you've asked us not to repeat items, but when the tourism board said that that South Pony Road is already a heavily traveled road, she is correct, and you're actually adding more traffic to that. Johnson mentioned I had one concern basically, and that was flowing back. I have multiple concerns. Did you receive my letter version?
Yes, I hesitate to just jump on that because I don't have it in front of me, so I apologize for that. I can try to look it up.
But I do have more than one concern of the blowing trash. And when he says paper has been omitted from it, I understand paper is the biggest blower, but we walked our property 3 weeks ago. We can only find paper products. We found a tin bowl, a PVC pipe, and cardboard boxes that probably all be associated with building their new venue. I do have a concern about the noise, and that has already been brought up. And I also have doubts about how well this will affect the community tourism-wise. I looked on their website. They have 96 vendors listed that they promote on their website. 6 of them were local. We already know that the normal summers in West Cliff, there is on the weekend, it's almost impossible to get a room. I know that. I'm trying to work our property. We're trying to get our home built for the future because we have a dream also. And you can't get a room. Now, the bride and groom plan well in advance and maybe be able to get accommodations, but the guests won't be able to stay in our area. They will come in from Lyra and Kansas City. And so my last comment is, if you bought property 10 miles outside of town for a peaceful retirement home, would you want this built next to your property?
Okay, thank you. Another question, if I may, ma'am. Do you currently have a residence on your property?
No, we do not. We put a well in last year, and we're currently working with to get electricity to it so we can start building our home.
Okay, and then I would ask you the same, if I may be so bold. It's public knowledge, I could look it up, but I just hate to leave the documents I'm on. How many acres do you have there?
We purchased 80 acres from the Sons last year, and they had no mention of their plans to build a wedding venue when we purchased from them.
Okay, thank you. Other public comment?
This is William Polkinghorn, Diana Custer.
Go ahead, sir.
I just have, I'm not going to go over too much more repeating, but I reinforce with Diana, we have a kind of for tourism, we have to turn to living out basically as far out as we can get from anybody. And I mean, and also going to the wedding is not recreation for any groom or man. But anyway, my point is, I guess, like I said, I disagree with Bill and Dave and Diana on everything, and we would have never purchased this property if there was any remote idea that there might be something like this built next door. And I guess that's just it. I just asked you if you want this next to you, I guess, you know. So, and I guess that's all I have. Thanks.
All right, thank you, sir, appreciate it. Other public comment? Yes, Elaine, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Well, I just wanted to voice my objection. My husband and I bought the former Henrich Ranch in 2017, and we live here full time. It came with 2 homes. We also have 80 acres on the other side of Colony Road. Colony Road goes through a part of our property. We have an easement with the city or the county. The road is in dire straits. It is awful. And every car that comes down Colony Road leaves a huge plume of dust. I pick up trash off my property that blows onto it from the parking lot over on the north side. Their venue has 80 acres, but it's completely void of vegetation. And I really feel that if you do pass this, they need to be required to plant trees, do some sort of landscaping, because it is visible from any direction. The 80 acres we own on the north side of Colony Road, we are planning eventually to let our kids build cabins on it. We have 2 40-acre lots, and they have objected to looking at it as being wedding venues just down the hill. We are next to Bill Sudenmeyer. So I guess I agree with everybody else. The weeds are also another problem. We've been fighting the noxious weeds on our property. We try not to allow music meadows to overgraze. They lease our ranch. We have 1,000 acres. We moved here for the peace and quiet. We had a restaurant in Colorado Springs for 25 years, and I know what it takes to serve up 200 people, and I know what it generates. So that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, thank you. Other public comment?
Hi, this is Daleen Wilkins with Twin Peaks Ranch.
Go ahead.
Other side of the Suns, I'm their business partner. A lot of you have not gotten a chance to meet me yet. I have a couple things I'd like to say, just because I haven't been able to talk much in the past. I just want everyone to know that we are not a large commercial investor. We're a very small family. We have 2 daughters, and we're a husband-wife team that partnered up with the Suns. That being said, since Elaine just spoke, I did want to say that Elaine came to me and said she would love our brides to come to her VRBO Airbnb at her ranch. She'd love the income, but she doesn't want to support us. I found that in. The other thing that was brought up about our pavilion not having sides, we are very lucky that we did that, so we can close and open it and help social distancing and airflow for COVID. So we're very thankful that we have a building that can support small weddings outside in the open air and try to keep that from happening in this county. I would also like to bring up that we have now missed the 2020 season, and so we do intend to put a septic because we are trying to follow all of the county's regulations and stipulations that they have for us. But since we have missed this season, we've also missed the income for this season, and we don't have the funds to put that on until 2022, which would be our second season. I also wanted to ask a favor of the commissioners. I'm willing to answer any questions that you have regarding the activity and try to clear up any of that. But we have been in this process for a very long time now, and as the neighbors have expressed, they're exhausted, so are we. And I would like to answer any questions that anyone has regarding the activity that happened, specifically that it was all fake. And all of the people that participated have written and vouched for the fact that it was fake and what date that those happened. And lastly, I do recommend every local vendor in this town. I have a personal relationship with them. Richard at Alpine Lodge, Pepper at Salty Pine, and I could go on and on. And every vendor that's in this town, we recommend on the website and in person. We want to support them, and they know that. There's just not a lot of them. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Further public comment?
Yes, this is Elaine Chavanaugh again. I would like to make a comment concerning Daleen.
Okay, hold on just a second, Elaine, because we're operating under the right of first debate. If anybody else wants to speak, I'm going to ask you to hold your rebuttal until after everybody's had a chance to speak. Jot down any notes. I will certainly honor your right to a second debate, but only after everyone has spoken.
Okay,
Thank you for your understanding. Go ahead. Anyone else?
thank you.
Any further public comment? Chair recognizes Ms. Chavanon. Go ahead, Elaine.
Hi, I just wanted to give our doodles about, Daleen, what she had to say. And yes, I did talk to her about, wedding, accommodations at my VRBO. I personally manage the VRBO. We have a maximum of 8 people, and I do not allow parties or, any outside fires. We keep it very low key. So she's not interested in using our facility, so I guess we will not be doing business with them. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Commissioner, may I speak again?
Identify yourself, please.
Deb Adams.
Go ahead.
It is so discouraging that young people who have come into this community get shot down by the older generation or the old timers. This is a positive thing to bring to the valley. And I don't know what 80 acres is in miles or what 900 acres is, but it seems like you're all pretty spread out. And you have people here that are trying to bring something unique and authentic and special to the Wet Mountain Valley, and because of a few people, it is in jeopardy of failing. And I think that is just a very sad statement for what tourism and Custer County is trying to do in enhancing, bringing people to this valley so they can know how special it is. And I don't want to hear someone say, oh, well, then they'll move here, because that isn't true. Because living here is certainly not for everybody. But coming here and experiencing the beauty, the peace, the things that we have, that we treasure, Three Peaks Ranch is not jeopardizing that one iota. They are sharing it with others. And you're talking about 20 weddings. That is 20 days. Maybe it's 40 days out of 365. It's not like it's going to be every single day. So I really ask the commissioners to support something that is unique, authentic, and special in the Wet Mountain Valley. I thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Further public comment?
This is David Colbert. I'd like to address some of the statements.
Yeah, David, the chair's going to allow this with, I guess, a request, because we can sit here and go back and forth and rebut everybody's comments one at a time or in groups. So I'm going to go ahead and allow you to speak, sir. I would ask you to be succinct. We just do not have the platform to debate everything that's said here today. Believe me, I know these commissioners, including myself, want to rebut some of this. That is not our job. Our job is to sit here and listen. So I will allow it, but please, sir, respect everyone's time.
Okay, I will keep it very short. I don't know if I approve of what people say and being picked on because I'm older and I have more land. That's fine. I understand that. I own a cattle ranch. It's not a amusement park, nor will it be, hopefully, ever. I think that the board needs to look at this
All right, sir, thank you. Any,
William Buckinghorn, 10 seconds.
go ahead, sir.
I know we don't want to get back and forth tit for tat, but as far as the tourism rate, you know, I understand 20 events a year doesn't seem like that many, but it'd be all in the summer, and for the next 10 years, that's when we're going to be there, in the summer on holidays, if you're still working there. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioners, anything that you care to add at this point? You certainly, you know, we're not done. I don't want to exclude you through the public comment section.
Mr. Chairman, I've listened diligently to both sides. And it's kind of distressing to me, but I'd like to give you my thoughts, and then if you would allow me to entertain a motion. Okay, well, I think Commissioner Kanda would like to say something before I make a motion, so
We're in no
I
hurry.
yield the floor to Mr. Kanda, if I may, please.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Kanda.
Check, check. Can you hear me there?
I hear you.
Yeah, I had a couple quick thoughts here listening to everybody, and I appreciate all the comments for and against, and the facts that are known to all of us. A couple things I would like to ask, though, is I'd like to ask the Planning Commission why they approved it in the first place. They certainly have gone through the hearing process and heard, I hope, all these comments. Otherwise, the process is broken somehow. And did they hear the pros and cons for each of these? Are we reinventing a wheel here? Because they're good arguments on both sides. So I would ask Vic, why did you approve it?
Chairman Barnes, are you still on the call?
We're on now.
We're on.
Okay, did you hear Commissioner Kanda's question?
I think Commissioner Canada asked if we had taken all of these comments into consideration. Is that correct?
That, and you must have had thought through the master plan. I know it's a land use issue. A strategic plan is a different thing, but it fits as well because we have some of the similar concerns. Agricultural business being a prime strategic plan, as well as the viewscape tourism, was, as Deb Adams pointed out too. So I'm assuming you all considered the items.
Well, that's true, Commissioner Canada. We're always aware of the master plan. We're aware that Zone 1 is primarily an agricultural zone for ranching, farming, and residential use. We're very aware of that. We're aware of what the zoning resolution has to say. We did hear, I believe we heard from all of the people, well, not all of the people, but most of the objectors and some of the supporters regarding this. Subsequent to that, we have obviously had a lot of information that's come to our attention that we did not have the benefit of when we first discussed it. And as Chairman Flower indicated, there are some conditions that we perhaps did not go as far as we should have in being explicit and completely with a lot of clarity. So, but to answer your question, yes, we did consider those, and there are still a lot of unknown things that I think we're uncertain about.
Okay, thank you very much. And as a commissioner, you know, it's our job to walk both sides of the fence here. We also care about the economic development of this county and the strategic vision to keep it like it is as much as we can. In that light, there probably is some precedents already set. Music Meadows Ranch out there, I believe, has a venue similar. Working Ranch brings in people, tourism, has music, has different events. So, you know, if very carefully we consider all aspects of this as we go through this. So, you know, something for me to think about is as we go through this and how we take the next step. So, just a couple points. Thanks. Go ahead, Jane.
Thank you, Commissioner Kanda.
Talk loud. I can't. It's not coming over.
Am I coming over? I'm on?
There it is.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Let me try a different mic. Is this one better? Good, okay. Thank you. As I was mentioning just a second ago, this is, sometimes being a commissioner is a pretty crummy job, and this is one of those times. I have multiple comments, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a motion regarding this issue. My first comment is both sides, the sons and the folks who live around them, have legal rights. First of all, the folks who live around them and any landowner has a peaceful and quiet enjoyment of their property. That's a tenet of law that everybody who owns a piece of property has a right to. On the other hand, the owners of the sons, the owners of the property in question, also have a right to the highest and best use of their property. Obviously, there's a contradiction here that we, the commissioners, are going to need to evaluate whether this is the right thing or the wrong thing to approve or not approve. I'd like to say that I respect and appreciate the Planning Commission, and I think when they did their job, they did due diligence, did it right. One of the objectors' comments were blowing trash and paper and stuff, and that was addressed by the Planning Commission, where it says no paper or plastic products such as plates, cups, balloons, or decorations can be used for the wedding venue. So I commend the sons for going out and actually giving us facts as opposed to opinions. The sons told us that they had an organization from, I believe it was Salida, come out to determine if the music was going to be detrimental to the neighbors, and they felt that considering we're on 80-acre lots at minimum, that it wouldn't be a problem. That sounds reasonable to me, although I am not an audiologist by any means. What was not addressed here by the Planning Commission, nor should it have been, but it is something concerning to the commissioners, is the economic development for the entire county. As folks come to the wedding, they will also most likely go into town, have dinners, spend time at the motels and hotels and B&Bs, and march up and down the towns, maybe buy some souvenirs. Whatever they do, there will be a positive impact by having this venue. I agree with the one commenter who said this is not an ongoing, consistent process, that there are a maximum, I believe it was 40 events with 200 people. It does not seem to be a long-standing, ongoing issue that should hurt the surrounding folks. I believe my biggest concern is what the Planning Commission took into account is erosion, water use, sanitation, and I think they adequately handled that. I feel that...
I'm sorry, repeat your last comment.
You want me to deal with this?
I apologize. I'll try again.
I'm going to ask you to mute your phones, please. That's one of the reasons you couldn't hear. We were getting some feedback in here.
Right. I believe the last thing I was saying was that the number of events were, this was not an ongoing, continuous, loud musical event. The folks asking for the special use permit agreed to, and it's item 11, to turn the music off at 10 o'clock and have cleanup done by 11. I suspect an hour may not be long enough, but the point is, if they're cleaning up and there's no more music, this really shouldn't be an issue with the surrounding neighbors. I recognize that I'm kind of rambling on, but there's so much in this for us to consider, us, the commissioners, to consider, that I'm having a difficult time, but I truly in my heart feel that the sons have done what has been asked of them. They have met the requirements that the Planning Commission has requested. The economic development for the county will be um, will be a benefit. Let me rephrase it that way. I think the quiet enjoyment of the neighbors will be minimal, although I agree with you, there will be some noise and some music. We all live on dirt roads. We all know what happens when a vehicle goes up and down a dirt road. It's part of living in a rural area. But the biggest thing for me is a wedding event is one of the most significant events in a person's life, and to have it in the most beautiful place on earth, which is Custer County, is something that I have to recommend and move forward with. So with my comments, I would like to move, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the special use permit for the Suns as presented to us.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the SUP pertaining to the Three Peaks Ranch. Is there discussion?
I personally think they've bent over backwards. I think it meets a lot of the criteria, both land use and from a commissioner point of view, the economic impact that meets our criteria that we had a lot of public input on our strategic vision to keep the viewscape, the lifestyle, and the agribusiness going. And it fits in, and we have a precedence on that same road.
Okay, go ahead. Did you have something?
Said all I can say. I can ramble more, but I won't.
Okay. Bear with me just for a second. I'm checking on a parliamentary rule. We have, yes. I learned this from judges. They make everybody sit and wait while they read a comic or...
We like the fact you're reading a comic. Come on. Thank you, Judge.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So I have some comments I would like to share with my fellow commissioners, and obviously the folks in the audience have the opportunity to hear those as well. I, as the other commissioners I know, have given a lot of thought, a lot of research, read a lot of documents. I hope that the folks on the phone don't think that this SUP was the only reason we would have looked at the master plan or the strategic plan or the zoning regulations. Am I as familiar with those as the people on the Planning Commission? No, I don't think I'm supposed to be. That's why they're in existence. It is pretty tough to vote against a recommendation from a group of individuals whose job is to do just that, to go through and vet an application and do their due diligence. Do I think they did a good job on that? No, I do not. I think I made that clear with the questions that I had that I didn't get answers to. If I was sitting in anyone else's chair today besides the commissioner's chairs, I would probably be asking myself, and would love to ask the person sitting in the commissioner's chair, where's this guy coming from? What background does he have to be sitting here in judgment of this kind of a situation? I want you to know in the audience, if you do not already, I live on what I would consider probably the third or fourth most traveled county road in Custer County. I live 600 feet off of that road. Unfortunately, I was not very wise when I bought on the north side of that road. We all know the winds come from the southwest in this county, and has for the 36 years I've lived here. So I understand the impacts an activity can have on a county road. I also want everyone in the audience to know that I live next door. I'm adjoined a property that does have a special use permit for it, for a lot of different activities, including weddings. I've made my opinions clear to the Planning Commission and the Director of Planning and Zoning, I personally struggle with this whole SUP process. It is almost a carte blanche document that says once you've been given this document, go forth and live your life. I know that there can be reviews brought to the forefront by written complaints from neighbors. I don't see that happening very often. Maybe that's because there aren't any complaints. Maybe neighbors really don't like to rat out their fellow neighbors in an effort to try to live a peaceful, harmonious life. One of the mainstays in the agricultural and ranching world is this: good fences make good neighbors. And it's an analogy, but I would extend that to good activities make good neighbors. I'm not thrilled when I try to watch the 9 o'clock news to hear music blasting from the place next door, and I live on the west side of that place. So I get it. I know there's been a lot of flowery language about how special and how unique. We've got wedding venues in this county. I don't know that there's anything unique about a wedding venue. I will go on record as saying this, that I have some concerns, overarching concerns. One is dealing with land use. Is a wedding venue near the South Colony Trailhead an appropriate use of that agricultural land? That's one of my overarching struggles. But it's offset by this, and Commissioner Prince alluded to that in his comments. Do you have inalienable rights when you buy a piece of property in this county? I believe that you do, as long as those rights and exercising those rights do not infringe upon current rules, regulations, and laws. Is there a regulation that says you can't have a wedding venue in Zone 1? No. I wish there was some language, because it'd make our job a hell of a lot easier. The commenters have preached to us page and paragraph number, and I get that. I understand that, because you're trying to make your case. The third sentence in the description of Zone 1, which is called the Grape Creek District, says the Grape Creek zoning district is intended to have a low population density and to remain agriculture in character. In my opinion, you can put all the paint you want on a skunk. It's still a skunk when you're done. My question is this: should we have a wedding venue down in Zone 1 out on that bare prairie? That's what I struggle with. I'm not telling you I'm against it. I'm telling you those are the heartfelt struggles that I've been fighting with for the last 2 or 3 weeks. I understand the son's desire to have a business down there. It was obvious that they felt like it was important enough that they bring pressure to bear on the commissioners. I understand that. That's business. It's also very frustrating. I know that the economic development portion of this whole thing does fall on this table. I've made that clear that I didn't believe it belonged in any conversation with the Planning Commission, but I think it does belong in a conversation in this room. So I'm not turning a blind eye to the economic, let me rephrase that, because I want to make very clear the potential economic development. I've had businesses in this town call me and tell me what a great thing this is going to be for our county. It may, but it may not. Just because you say something doesn't make it so. We will have to wait and see. Again, I live next to an SUP. I guarantee you that SUP is a moneymaker, and not all that money comes from or is spent in this county. I see it every summer. So I'm willing to listen to that, but I just want you to understand you're not talking to a bunch of rum-dums here. We have thought through this. We have personal experiences. We have professional experiences. I'm not a business owner in this county. I have been a business owner. I try to have some kind of respect for somebody that does have a business owner. I've been contacted by 6 or 7 business owners. 3 or 4 of those people are personal friends of mine. I get that. I just don't believe that the process has been conducted in a manner that we're all going to have to live with, most likely for the rest of our natural lives in this county. I'm frustrated about these SUPs being in perpetuity in all practicalities. I mean, anybody wants to argue with that, I'd love to have an offline conversation, because once you get an SUP, unless you're just an idiot, you're going to have that for the rest of your life. It is going to be tough to take that away. And as counsel said, to terminate an SUP, you better be ready to go to court. And I just don't agree with that. I think there needs to be more oversight. I respect the Sons for where they're coming from. I have not spoken to them personally. I want that on the record. They did not reach out to me and try to leverage my opinion one way or the other, although there wouldn't be anything wrong with it, I guess. But so I don't have a personal agenda here. My question is, does a business of this nature belong in the middle of a prairie that obviously is intended for grazing and residential use? I mean, there's no other agricultural use out there other than livestock grazing. But I'm trying to balance that, as I said before, with a landowner's rights. Man, I just struggle with that because I own land and I think I have rights there. So that's where I'm at. The motion on the floor is to approve. Is there further discussion from the commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I think your points are very well taken. I'm looking forward to the vote. Rereading it as we spoke, it's 20 venues, excuse me. Is that better? Okay, sorry, folks. What I commented was that I appreciated Chairman Flower comments. I think they're germane to the topic. We're talking about 20 events maximum a year. I'm struggling with the downside. I don't think the environmental impact on the roads and the rest of the issues would be that significant. So I'm ready to vote whenever you folks are ready to call the question.
Yeah, and I'm ready also, from an agricultural point of view, that pasture might support 5 cows, so I think maximizing the value of that land from an agricultural point of view is reasonable here. It keeps the viewscape, the ag business still going to be low population, so I'm ready to vote.
Okay. During the period of discussion, the chair will move to refer this item of business back to the Planning Commission. Is there a second?
Sarah, there's a motion and a second on the floor.
That is correct, and that's why I wanted to take the time to check on the parliamentary accuracy. The motion to refer or commit is a subsidiary motion. It may not be made while another person has the floor, but it may be made during a main motion. So my motion is in effect.
Would you repeat the motion, please?
Yes.
I missed it.
I move to refer this item back to the Planning Commission for further investigation. If there's a second, then I'm not going to get into the discussion of that because it's not appropriate. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I will second it because I would like to know the purpose for doing this.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded to refer this item of business to the Planning Commission. If this motion were to pass, then the original motion will go with the motion to refer, so it will be off the table. I want to make that clear. So the reason I made this motion was, and I hope I've made it somewhat clear, that I just think there are questions and holes in the SUP. I respect the Sons for giving the ground that they gave. I can't believe that they've agreed that they're not going to have any RVs or camping on their ground in a rural area like that. So it's, you know, I appreciate that they've already given up some stuff. I went through those questions. I will be more than willing to send my concerns and questions to the Planning Commission. I would like to get those answered, and then certainly would be more than willing to sit back down and consider this again. But that's why I made the motion, was to get my questions and concerns answered. And I may add, believe me, I understand that the Planning Commission is under a 30-day notice. By Ms. Wilkins' own admission, this wedding season's probably come and gone. So I was very concerned about that initially, that if we didn't do something today, we, you know, we're probably doing a disservice to those folks. But I just think my due diligence is to ask the Planning Commission to go back and look at this again and give us some answers to the questions that I have. Any further discussion? Here, public comment. Only on the motion to refer, please. Hearing none, we'll go ahead, I'm sorry.
David Colbert
Yes, sir.
would like to see it tabled for further evaluation.
Thank you.
This is Karen's son with 3 Peaks.
Yes, go ahead.
Can we just answer the questions right now?
I don't believe so. Further public comment?
This is Mr. Meyer again on behalf of the applicant, and I want to make it clear, if this is something that the commissioners are taking into consideration, and I think it should be, is that there is still very much a possibility to have events permitted and pursuant to the approval, if granted by the county this season. I don't want the comment by Ms. Wilkins earlier to be misinterpreted to say that everything is, that the damage has already been done, that it is still very much salvageable in some respects if we are able to get the approval for the Three Peaks Ranch this summer.
Okay, I don't think there was any misinterpretation. She said the wedding season has come and gone. So that's not the reason I'm making my motion to refer. Has nothing to do with it.
This is Kaylin. Permission to speak?
Who is it?
Kaylin Wilkins.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the 2020 season has pretty much passed us. There's a few people who've been affected by COVID that are wanting to book. More so, the nature of weddings is that they book a season prior. So you're in deliberation also making us miss the 2021 wedding season because we cannot answer them or book them without an answer from you, because we do not want to overstep the county bounds. We do want to follow your guidelines and be above board with everything. So we are on hold with the 2021 season as well. So it does massively impact us.
So am I to infer from your comments that you are not taking reservations at this point in time?
No, we're not taking anything until we have an answer from Custer County.
Mr. Commissioner, may Jeb Adams speak?
Go ahead.
Something that is coming up for August, which is of immediate importance, is back in May, and Clint Smith will know this, that Adam Graham, a prominent journalist who lives in Europe, came to the Wet Mountain Valley to experience what we have to offer. And Clint gave him a very entertaining evening, even though it was a little bit cloudy. I have received an email from him through Custer County Tourism that he is writing a 1,500-word article on the Wet Mountain Valley for the Wall Street Journal. Now, this is information that really I should not be sharing.
Okay, so let's get to Miss Adams.
Because the Wall Street Journal likes to keep things hush-hush.
So let's get to the point of relevance of your comments.
Three Peaks Ranch will be part of that article. So a positive decision today would help us continue our positive reporting of the Wet Mountain Valley. So that is kind of.
So the relevance to your comments pertaining to refer.
Take a breath.
Thank you.
The relevance of the comments will be allowed if they are pertaining to the motion to refer, not about some article. If you want to have a public comment about whether or not the commissioner should vote to refer this, I will listen to that, as well as the other commissioners. I will allow it. Commissioner Prince.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I really appreciate the folks who have made comments plus or against. As I mentioned when I started speaking, this is a very difficult situation. I think it's very germane to the point that approval now allows moving forward in the 2021 season. I think that's a very important point because people are planning that today for what they're going to do next year. I would hate to see this put off for another month or longer. So I would like to just vote on and let's get on with it.
Okay, further discussion from the commissioners?
No, and I appreciate it. Remember, it takes three of us to be one voice, and Tom's a great parliamentarian, and it's great to have the opportunity to continue options here. But I agree, let's vote.
Well said.
Are you gentlemen okay with moving forward without any hearing further public comment? If you guys are fine with that, I will call for the vote. Okay. All right. Hearing no further discussion from the commissioners, we will proceed to vote. All in favor of referring this item of business to the Planning Commission, say aye. Commissioner, well, sorry, I can't do that. Commissioner Flower votes aye. Opposed, nay.
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 Motion fails on a 2 against, 1 in favor. The motion to refer fails, I'm sorry. Any further discussion, gentlemen, on the motion which is to approve the special use permit?
Not from me, sir.
Negative here.
And by law, or by parliamentary rule, I have to ask for any further public comment or we'll be remiss. Public comment? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the SUP, say aye. Commissioner Prince?
Aye.
Commissioner Kanda?
Aye.
Commissioner Flower votes nay. Motion carries on a 2 in favor, 1 against. The SUP for Three Peaks Ranch has been approved, and we will move forward with the Planning Commission to do whatever documentation that we need to do. Is there any further business to come before the Planning Commission at this time, gentlemen? What did I say? Planning Commission? I'm sorry.
Planning
I got Planning
Commissioner
Commission
now.
on the brain. Let me get back to my agenda. Bear with me. Any further additional items of business to come before the Board of County Commissioners?
Not from me, sir.
Commissioner Ganda?
None here.
Nor do I. Any final public comment? We have a public comment period at the end of the meeting, so the floor is open for any further public comment if you care to.
I have one last question before we close, and I won't waste your time. This is Aileen Wilkins.
Go ahead.
I know that by law, the commissioners need to sign the permit before we are allowed activity, and because we want to be above board and in compliance with county regulations, I need to know when I can move forward with activity, so that I'm not breaking the law or upsetting anyone. Can you give me clarification, please?
The best I could tell you, and I certainly defer to my commissioner or fellow commissioners if they have input, is that that will come from the Planning Commission and the Planning and Zoning Office. I appreciate your comments and certainly would encourage you not to do any other activities until your SUP is signed and completed, yes. So I'm sorry I can't give you an answer as to will it be next week or whatever. I'm sure that everyone will try to expedite this for the obvious reason you folks are trying to run a business.
That's okay. I wanted to ask, because I know this can take some time and I'm not trying to push anyone, I wanted to ask a special blessing for a giveaway wedding that the state is trying to benefit a COVID-affected couple. They had to cancel their wedding, and 20 Colorado vendors came together to try to give them their wedding for free. They asked us if we could please participate in the giveaway, and it would be July 12th. And I just need to know if I have your blessing to give that to them, or if I have to tell them they can't have their wedding again.
Yeah, I would say that's a conversation you'll have to have with the Planning Commission. Our job was to approve or disapprove.
Thank you for your time.
Further public comment before we adjourn?
This is Dave Colbert.
Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to thank the commissioners for their due diligence on this matter. I hope that it works out best for all of us. And good luck with all of this.
Thank you, sir. The chair will go on record as saying how respectful and appreciative I am for civil discourse. Thank you all very much.
Mr. Colbert, this is Commissioner Prince. I appreciate your last comment. It's not an easy decision, and I appreciate what you just said. Thank you.
Yeah, and so do I. Thank you very much. All people that were on this call and all people that have been emailing and talking to all of us. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and as a dissenting vote, I want to go on record and say, believe me, I believe in the democratic rule. Because I got outvoted has nothing to do with my intent and desire to see you succeed from moving this point forward. Absolutely is my job as a county commissioner to do whatever we can to support the citizens of this county. Just because I got voted down does not mean that I'm your mortal enemy. I will do whatever I can. Thank you. Any further comments?
I move we adjourn.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.